Good afternoon, boys and girls. Every afternoon we would read a chapter from a chapter book, and we were reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We didn't quite finish it yet, but I figured we could finish it this way. So every afternoon I'll read a chapter from it, and you can just feel free to watch and listen. I'll probably talk a little bit about it after each chapter, but not much. This is optional. If you want something else, I just want to put more out there. So, before I get started, one of our strategies when we're reading longer chapter books is we always go back to the previous chapter and refresh our memory. So what happened in the last chapter, we had Violet Beauregarde, and we all remember Violet Beauregarde, right? What was the thing she loved more than anything else? Chewing gum. And remember, she took the gum that Mr. Willy Wonka invented, even though she wasn't supposed to, and she started chewing it. She couldn't help herself. And she tasted all those flavors, and then she got to the blueberry pie part, and then she turned into a gigantic blueberry. And the parents kind of freaked out. And that's where we left off. They took her away. So here's chapter 22. It's called Along the Corridor. Well, 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 sighed Mr. Willy Wonka. 2 naughty little children gone, 3 good children left. I think we'd better get out of this room quickly before we lose anyone else. But Mr. Wonka, said Charlie Bucket anxiously, will Violet Beauregarde ever be all right again, or will she always be a blueberry? They'll de-juice her in no time flat, declared Mr. Wonka. They'll roll her into a de-juicing machine and she'll come out just as thin as a whistle. But will she still be blue all over? Asked Charlie. She'll be purple, cried Mr. Wonka, a fine rich purple from head to toe. But there you are. That's what comes from chewing disgusting gum all day long. You think gum is so disgusting, said Mike TV. Then why do you make it in your factory? I do wish you wouldn't mumble, said Mr. Wonka. I can't hear a word you're saying. Come on, off we go. Hurry up, follow me. We're going into the corridors again. And so saying, Mr. Wonka scuttled across to the far end of the inventing room and went out through a small secret door hidden behind a lot of pipes and stoves. The 3 remaining children, Veruca Salt, Mike TV, and Charlie Bucket, together with the 5 remaining grown-ups, followed after him. Charlie Bucket saw that they were now back in one of those long pink corridors, with many other pink corridors leading out of it. Mr. Wonka was rushing along in front, turning left, right, left, right, left, right, and Grandpa Joe was saying, Keep a good hold of my hand, Charlie. It would be terrible to get lost in here. Mr. Wonka was saying, No time for any messing about. We'll never get anywhere at the rate we've been going. And on he rushed down the endless pink corridors, with his black top hat perched on the top of his head and his plum-covered velvet coattails flying out behind him like a flag in the wind. They passed another door, then another, and another. There were doors every 20 paces or so along the corridor now, and they all had something written on them. And strange clanking noises were coming from behind several of them, and delicious smells came wafting through the keyholes, and sometimes little jets of colored steam shot out from the cracks underneath. Grandpa Joe and Charlie were half running and half walking to keep up with Mr. Wonka, but they were able to read what it said on quite a few doors as they hurried by. Edible marshmallow pillows, it said on one. Marshmallow pillows are terrific, shouted Mr. Wonka as he dashed by. They'll be all the rage when I get them into the shops. No time to go in, though. No time to go in. Lickable wallpaper for nurseries, it said on the next door. Lovely stuff, lickable wallpaper, cried Mr. Wonka, rushing past. It has pictures of fruits on it. Bananas, apples, oranges, grapes, pineapples, strawberries, and snozberries. Snozberries, said Mike TV. Don't interrupt, said Mr. Wonka. The wallpaper has pictures of all these fruits printed on it, and when you lick the picture of a banana, it tastes like a banana. When you lick the strawberry, it tastes like strawberry. And when you lick the snozberry, it tastes exactly like snozberry. What does snozberry taste like? You're mumbling again, said Mr. Wonka. Speak louder next time. On we go. Hurry up. Hot ice cream for cold days, it said on the next door. Extremely useful in the winter, said Mr. Wonka, rushing on. Hot ice cream warms you up, no end in freezing weather. I also make hot ice cubes for putting in hot drinks. Hot ice cubes make hot drinks hotter. Cows that give chocolate milk, it said on the next door. Aw, my pretty little cows, cried Mr. Wonka. How I love those cows. But why can't we see them? Asked Veruca Salt. Why do we have to go on rushing past all these lovely rooms? We shall stop in time, called out Mr. Wonka. Don't be so madly impatient. Fizzy lifting drinks, it said on the next door. "Oh, those are fabulous," cried Mr. Wonka. "They fill you with bubbles, and the bubbles are full of special gas. And this gas is so terrifically lifting that it lifts you right off the ground just like a balloon. And up you go until your head hits the ceiling. And there you stay." "But how do you come down again?" asked little Charlie. "You do a burp, of course," said Mr. Wonka. "You do a great, big, long, rude burp, and up comes the gas, and down comes you. But don't drink it outdoors. There's no knowing how high up you'll be carried if you do that. I gave some to an old Oompa Loompa once in the backyard, and he went up and up and up and up and disappeared out of sight. It was very sad. I never saw him again." "He should have burped," Charlie said. "Of course he should have burped," said Mr. Wonka. "I stood there shouting, 'Burp, silly, burp! Oh, you'll never come down again!' But he didn't, or couldn't, or wouldn't. I don't know which. Maybe he was too polite. He must be on the moon by now." On the next door it said, "Square candies that look round." "Wait!" cried Mr. Wonka, skidding suddenly to a halt. "I am very proud of my square candies that look round. Let's take a peek." And that's the end of our chapter. So, I don't know how I would be feeling if I was one of the children. What started as a fun tour of a candy factory has turned pretty awful. I remember one of our strategies, putting yourself in the story. So think about how you would be feeling. I think I'd want to get out of there right now, but it's kind of interesting, all these crazy inventions he has. I made a connection today because it is snowing out right now. Remember when Charlie found the dollar frozen in the snow? I was thinking about that when I was walking outside, and remember he took the dollar and he ran and he bought candy with it, and we said that would have been the worst thing to buy if you're a starving child who's poor and you need food. Why would you go waste it all on candy? But that was how he found the golden ticket. So I want you making connections like that, thinking like that, because remember, you're always thinking when you're reading. Also, lastly, we are doing our unit on realistic fiction. I'm curious to know what type of book you think this is. We know it's fiction. I wonder, is this realistic fiction? What do you think? We'll talk more about that throughout the week as we study realistic fiction, but I want you thinking about the fiction books you're reading and thinking, what type of fiction are they? Are they realistic fiction? Are they not? If they are not, then what do we call those types of books? So, lots of things to think about, and I will read you another chapter tomorrow afternoon.